You're listening to the RM Podcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another fine episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham.
Wait a sec, you guys are not wearing. Wait, you got a. That's not even really a black shirt.
It's not black at all. What do you mean,
what's
not
going-
really?
What is this? Oh no! I don't know if I authorized this.
Happy Life Day.
Happy Life Day. I think we're gonna find out exactly where that.
Oh, you're
that
gonna find
comes
out
from
all
here
about
real
life.
soon.
You're gonna find out all about Life Day.
No, we obviously are very well. We are excited. We're
are.
excited
We are.
because, of course, tonight at midnight, a little bit
Yes.
sooner than that.
Actually,
really,
it'll be before. Well, hell,
it'll be way before midnight. There's already showings.
There were showings
Yeah.
going on at 5 o'clock.
That's
Yeah.
true. But Rise of Skywalker's hitting theaters, and of course, we will be checking it out
Yes.
so that we can get you our review as fast as possible on next week's episode.
Yeah.
Not going to have it. We'll have a Facebook Live kind of event after we walk out of the theater. Just give you our first impressions. Already so many reviews littering the interwebs, but we will not spoil anything.
You better
trust
not.
me. Sean's
You're
already.
like one of the only ones that's read anything.
It's
So.
Star Wars.
am.
I'm excited. I got my Star Wars shirt. I brought a little
Oh, what is that?
Chewbacca berries.
Oh,
Oh.
he's got some cereal for
Some,
us.
Oh, he's got a bowl and a spoon and everything.
He's ready. Are you? This is like the Cheez It
Can-
pizza
can-
night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
can
No.
we-
Can you make it?
can we-
Can
can
you
we-
make a
I
bowl
think you
right
should
there?
cut to the
Yeah.
cut to the panning.
Yeah.
camera
Oh, hold
there.
on. Well,
Can we show
move
it,
it. Move it a little to your other way. That works right there. As long as you show him the bowl.
There we go.
There we go. Now get that
See
Chewbacca
what that looks
cereal.
like when it comes out.
Here-
Wait, what is?
What is that?
What is-
What is it? What kind of cereal is
Man,
it?
there's
What the
something
hell?
wrong.
Oh,
What?
There's
What
no-
is that?
there's no cereal in there.
It's just a
Let me
shirt.
see the box.
What is
What the hell? There's nothing in
The
there.
box says includes free shirt, but it does not.
It has
doesn't-
cereal.
The box doesn't say it doesn't include cereal.
What?
Well, how about that?
It's
Huh?
the
Hold on. Well, that
well, here
doesn't
on
make
the-
any
here
sense.
on
you
the
can-
nutrition facts.
Can you eat the shirt?
serving size, one bowl, big one, and it says amount per serving, the Force 1,980.
Oh God.
Percentage of daily values: midi chlorians 99 grams, Sith energy 76
lot.
grams. I know. Passion and strength. You get
I mean,
25%.
you start out with one bowl a day, you're already a
75%
Sith
strength.
Lord.
Yeah.
75%
my
real
gosh.
strength.
Jedi energy 77 grams. It's 100% of your daily value of Jedi energy. Bantha milk 77%.
Oh,
Got that
That's
blue
that
milk.
blue milk, yes.
Yes.
Mind tricks, 80%. Telekinesis. Now they're just getting silly.
Yeah,
Telekinesis.
Nobody,
Telekinesis.
everybody knows
No, but
telekinesis.
that's not
is
even in
not
Star Wars.
No.
What the hell?
Clone
That
esterol.
was in The Last Jedi.
Cholesterol.
Vitamin
I was
R2
gonna
and
say
vitamin
estrogen.
C3PO. So my okay, I didn't see this. Very tiny writing there on the bottom of the ingredients. It says t-shirt inside, no actual cereal.
Oh,
Wow.
you should have read the box.
But still, I'm excited about this shirt.
I ain't gonna lie, I kind of
So-
wanted the cereal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want the
I
cereal.
really wanted to
but,
try it.
I am excited about the shirt. I'm not going to
Yeah,
wear it
no,
tonight. 'cause
yeah,
I'm
show
wearing,
it.
I'm going to wear my Life Day shirt at the showing of Star
Well,
Wars.
here, while you
but,
get your shirt ready, there it is.
Oh,
you got it
yeah.
out. That was quick. Oh, it looks just like the cereal box.
That's cool.
It's like the cereal box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty
Now I'm
good.
debating. I think I'm still going to stick with the Life Day
Kid
shirt.
tested, Wookiee approved.
Yes. Let me put that in my bowl there. We're just.
Eat that up.
Well, we got to get through this episode because we're going to be. No, do that again. I like that. He's eating his. No, we were ready for some cereal, but instead
It's already turned him into a Wookiee.
he's already got his
man.
midi-chlorians.
That's one of the
Chewbacca
side effects
berries,
of that
man.
cereal.
They're. Makes Sean spit up his coffee.
Coffee just came out my nose.
little
It's
Wookiee humor
It's
there.
such a good way to kick off tonight's episode.
Oh yes.
Because we're that excited about seeing this film.
That's the way you do it.
And
You
we-
snort coffee instead of drink it.
You know, you got that caffeine straight to your cranium.
I wonder how
That's
many
never happened
chlorines
before.
are in that glass of coffee. though.
Oh,
He's gonna-
man. All right.
All right, now let's find out where your other T-shirt here comes from.
Oh,
Happy
oh,
Life
yeah,
Day.
yeah.
Well, it came from my family because they made it for
Well,
me.
yeah, but
Happy Life Day. A long time ago in a
In a
galaxy,
galaxy
far away, 1978 to be exact, in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, they wanted to something to kind of tide people over until Empire came back, and they went into production around the same time.
I mean, Star Wars was
but-
absolutely it was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was.
And they
on-
wanted to keep that momentum
Yeah.
up until Empire came out. So CBS wanted a holiday special. So George Lucas, so they wrote it, came up with the idea, made like the sets and costumes, gave it all to CBS because they had to get to work on Empire. And CBS made something that not even George Lucas or Ryan Johnson, I think, could have done on their own.
Ryan Johnson came close. Came really
Honestly,
close.
I enjoy this holiday special way more than Last Jedi. Not because it's technically better, just because it's more fun. But yes, here's my review of the Star Wars holiday special. What a wonderful time of year it is. Christmas has and always will be my favorite holiday, and my favorite time of year. Add on top of this the fact that the final chapter in the Star Wars saga, my favorite film franchise, releases this Christmas and this holiday season, is all the more magical. After all, Christmas and Star Wars go hand in hand. What, you don't believe me? Well, while you sit at home watching A Christmas Story or Elf or It's a Wonderful Life, I'll be snug at home watching the greatest piece of human error ever committed in the Star Wars franchise. No, it's none of the prequel films, and it's not The Last Jedi. It's something so poorly made that no official release has ever existed, airing on CBS only once, never to be seen again. Luckily for us, today the internet exists, and many people back in 1978 when it released owned VCRs. So if you know where to look, you too can witness the amazing spectacle that is the Star Wars Holiday Special. Starring Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Peter Mayhew, Anthony Daniels, and James Earl Jones. That's right, every major Star Wars character. The Star Wars Holiday Special attempts to recreate the classic variety show, offering up special guest appearances alongside musical and acrobatic performances. Sadly, the holiday special was a disaster. Even though every character mentioned above is billed as starring roles, they actually are little more than cameos, with the crux of the special revolving around Chewbacca's family. His wife Mala, father Itchy, and son Lumpy. Yes, the men in Chewbacca's family are Chewie, Itchy, and Lumpy. Let that sink in. The story sees Han Solo doing his best to outrun an Imperial fleet in an attempt to get Chewbacca home to Kashyyyk for Life Day, the Star Wars universe's stand-in for Christmas. On Kashyyyk, awaiting Chewbacca's arrival are his family as they do their best to entertain themselves and keep the Empire at bay while they wait. The plot is already ridiculous, but would suffice as the special is geared towards being a family event that all ages can enjoy. Despite this, the writing and acting always seem phoned in, excluding hilarious and solid performances from special guest Harvey Korman and B. Arthur. That's right, B. Arthur has a song and dance number that is perhaps the single greatest thing to ever be made under the Star Wars title. We also get a performance from Jefferson Starship, entertaining an Imperial officer. Yes, it's official. Jefferson Starship exists in the Star Wars universe. But perhaps the most bizarre guest spot goes to Diane Carroll, who can only be described as proto-VR porn, as Harvey Korman's delivery character gifts Itchy, a crotchety old Wookiee, with a headset that displays the most awkwardly sensual performance you'll ever see in a kid's show. It's a jumble mess that is hilarious to witness, but still there are actual moments of comedy, and many awesome things in this special as well. For starters, the special is the first time ever James Earl Jones is credited for his role as Vader, though in hindsight he may have preferred to have waited a little longer. It also marks the first appearance of Boba Fett in the Star Wars universe, with a cartoon that, despite having a silly MacGuffin, is pretty darn cool. Harvey Korman is hilarious as always, and despite the song itself being terrible, we get Princess Leia herself, Carrie Fisher, performing a musical number, and man, can she sing! Yes, the holiday special is the best-kept secret of the franchise. Hidden and left to rot, but fans refuse to allow it to die, despite that being exactly what George Lucas wants. Even Jon Favreau himself has made references to the holiday special in The Mandalorian. It's not good, but it captures the spirit of family and takes you back to simpler times, and honestly, kids will still love it. And die-hard Star Wars fans too, even if for unintended reasons. I give the Star Wars Holiday Special 1.5 out of 4 stars. This may be the best, worst Christmas special.
I can't do it. I know I was supposed to bring us back, but I don't think I can do it. When you said B. Arthur,
That was when you lost.
B. Arthur's probably
And
my favorite part
the
of this
names
special.
of the freaking
Itchy and
Wookiees.
Lumpy? Yes.
Itchy and Lumpy.
So basically, Chewbacca, they call him Chewie for
Chewie,
short, so you have
Itchy and
Chewie,
Lumpy.
Itchy, and Lumpy.
I'm just like, I'm flabbergasted.
It is so
I can't.
amazing. You have
I never saw that.
I'll
it
bring
amazes
it
me.
to you on a flash drive next
Out of
week.
some of the
It's
weirdest
great.
stuff that I've seen, I've never seen that. Like, I have no idea.
Most
No.
people don't know it exists because it aired in 1978
Oh, man.
and they never released it. Like George Lucas has stated at conventions that if he could get a hold of every master copy he ever sent
He
out,
would trash it.
he would hit him with.
How's
he would
that
destroy him
different
with
than any
sledgehammer.
other version he's made? I mean, but
Well,
still.
but he likes
Oh my
he
God.
likes his versions. You know, his junk is good, but
Wow.
this
Trust me.
I'm telling
within
ya,
the
like-
first 5 minutes.
I've never laughed through
Yeah,
one of your reviews that bad, like that hard.
it's very special. It is. I mean,
It's a
Look,
holiday
all I'm
special.
saying is the
Yeah.
first scene of Lumpy playing with an X-Fighter. I mean, you're talking about a solid 15 minutes of nothing but Wookiee banter.
Yeah.
And it is seriously
most of it revolves around those 3 Wookiees. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious.
And,
I mean,
and not only that,
oh,
Mala
man.
looks dead up like Chewie.
Yeah.
They
No
used
different
the
at all.
old Chewbacca costume from A New Hope and modified it a little bit for hers,
Mhm.
and then of course Itchy and Lumpy are all new. But I mean, they look yeah. Lumpy is the most terrifying thing you'll ever see. Itchy is
really
too.
is.
They
No,
both.
no, don't show it to me,
Okay,
'cause
I'll
you
wait.
guys
I'll
wanna
wait.
watch
Well,
it.
and the best
Yeah,
part
yeah.
is when you're watching in the beginning, you see the silhouette
And
of
you're not-
all the different people,
And you're not
and
expecting.
you see them.
Yeah. You're not expecting what you get at all.
Wow.
Definitely.
There's a few cool, like the Boba Fett cartoon. I mean, the animation's bad, but
Oh,
the
it's awful.
but the cartoon, for the time,
awful.
but it's from the 70s. For
It
the
doesn't
time,
matter.
it's
Yeah,
you
We've
know.
had we've had Fantasia.
Fantasia
okay?
That's
was
true.
bad.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It's
That's true.
bad.
But I mean, the cartoon itself is actually pretty cool. I mean,
Honestly, my favorite part of the cartoon is you already know how droll and how dead
Oh, Han
Han Solo
Solo.
can sound through when Harrison Ford doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
It
his
sounds
his
even
voice
better.
the actual actors voice the characters in the little cartoon in the
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could tell that Harrison Ford was just like, let me get this over
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
He was not.
he was not in it at all.
He
Yeah.
phones it all in.
Interesting.
It's hilarious though, because Carrie Fisher, like, when she said like the only way she would be in the special is if she got to sing a song, and I bet she regretted that request as soon as, because the lyrics to the, and she can't hit the high notes. When she tries to hit the high notes, it's bad. But I mean, for the most part, her vocals are like, okay, if she had
Yeah.
a voice coach or somebody training her,
Sure,
she
sure.
might be pretty good.
Yeah.
But she doesn't, and the lyrics are awful. And you can, it's just funny, like how excited she is to get to sing. But and she's the only one that talks about the special. Well, but she's gone now, bless her heart. But everyone else acts like it didn't exist. She would actively promote this because like, she enjoyed how bad it was. She
Yeah.
was one of those people that she said that
Would
she would
not.
host holiday.
She's like Tommy Wiseau.
yeah. She said she would host.
Yes.
She would
It's
host
like-
parties.
She loves what she created.
ever.
She said she would host parties, and anytime like they would go on too long, and she wanted her guests to leave, she would play this
Put that
because they
on.
got copy. Like the actors
Oh
actually
yeah,
got
I'm
copies.
sure they got it on
So
Betamax.
she
or
said-
something.
Laserdisc.
Yeah.
So she said she would put this special on just to get her guests to leave.
Wow.
I still think what's the greatest thing is that they even got them to play cameos.
Yeah.
But not only that, but it's just like the fact is John Favreau.
Yeah,
he
he's
played. He
in the
loves
pilot.
paying homage to this film.
In the pilot
through
to Mandalorian,
Mandalorian.
He says when he captures that guy in the bar at the very beginning, he says, "I'm just trying to make it home for Life Day."
Oh, seriously?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Well, I mean,
Dave-
I would have heard it, but I didn't have it. I don't even
Yeah.
know what that is
Yeah.
because I haven't seen
You wouldn't
that.
have known it. So
Yeah.
yeah, Dave Filoni, the guy who's in charge of all Star Wars television or whatever, like he would get the scripts to approve
Yeah.
them before they went to film. So every time he got a script from Jon Favreau, and there would be an Easter egg for the Star Wars, so he would look at Jon Favreau and be like, "Another one, John?" Like he like throwing in holiday special
Yeah.
Easter eggs left and right.
Oh my
No, I will
gosh.
say there's a lot of it that's boring. A lot of it is just
Yeah.
like, really, we can move on with this. But every single moment,
I don't know. I watched it
So
from
is
start to
it
finish.
worse than the Ewok movie?
Yes.
Oh.
I loved every second of it, but I'm a big Star Wars nerd. But I watched it from start to finish, the holiday special, including because the original commercials are in the copy.
That was
I
kind of
got
cool.
it.
Does
It was
have
a
the
blast
Where's
from
the
the
beef
past.
lady?
No,
on there?
it does have the Union label song though. I died
Oh.
laughing. Look for the Union.
Union
I
label.
died laughing. I was like,
But
oh man.
no, that was actually the cool part was the fact that because nobody has a copy of this, that
Yeah,
you
they
really
had to
only
record it
have
off TV.
taped,
Yeah.
taped versions.
The
that you
copy
can
I got
find.
is called like I forget. I know it's Zion's in the title. It's something Zion version, and it's kind of like the Harmony
They
special.
tried to
like,
clean it
They
up a
tried to
little
clean
bit.
it up and color correct as best they could. It
Yeah.
still looks like crap.
Well, and I
because
love
it's a
too that
VHS
you also
recording.
had a version that it includes the track from Mystery Science Theater.
Yes.
So they have their commentary
the riff
on it
the
as
riff
well.
tracks.
Oh.
Yeah.
It has two audio, the actual audio and then the riff tracks audio where it's hilarious. Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely worth checking out.
All right.
Absolutely, by far it's gonna be my favorite of all of the So Bad It's Good holiday specials.
I'm gonna
Okay.
It's worth
after
it.
I watched it once a long time ago when I was younger and didn't remember much about it, so I watched it again this year, and I'm telling you, I'm probably gonna watch it every year for Christmas from now on.
Yeah, it has to become a new tradition, no doubt.
All right.
But we're gonna switch tone a little bit
Yeah.
to move on to a much
Tone
more
down the Star Wars
yeah,
and get into
serious
some,
movie.
Yeah.
But definitely another one worth checking out. So here is our review of Richard Jewell.
On July 27th, 1996, a domestic terrorist planted a backpack containing 3 pipe bombs under a bench at the Centennial Olympic Park in Atlanta, Georgia. Thousands of civilians filled the park in celebration of the 1996 Olympics, for whom the park was built and named, being held there in Atlanta, Georgia that year. Thanks to the actions of local security guard and hero Richard Jewell, much of the area was evacuated. Sadly, 111 people were still injured, and 1 death occurred. But had it not been for Jewell, the casualties would have been much worse. To repay Jewell for his heroics, the FBI and media proceeded to defame and make Jewell's life living hell for the following 3 months, as they falsely accused him of planting the bomb himself and abused their power to do it. This story is the focus of Clint Eastwood's latest film, titled simply Richard Jewell. Richard Jewell, the film, is based on the 1997 Vanity Fair article, American Nightmare, The Ballad of Richard Jewell, by Marie Brenner, and the 2019 book, The Suspect, by Kent Alexander and Kevin Salwin. Portraying Jewell on screen is actor Paul Walter Hauser. His mother, who played a major role in his life and this event, Bobby Jewell, is played by Kathy Bates. The rest of the cast is rounded off with Sam Rockwell as Jewell's friend and lawyer Watson Bryant, John Hamm as Agent Tom Shaw, a fictionalized representation for the lead FBI agent on Jewell's case, and Olivia Wilde as Kathy Scruggs, the journalist working for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, who broke the news that Jewell was being eyed as a suspect by the FBI. The movie is in most cases very accurate in its depiction of Jewell and those in his life during this turmoil. Though some controversy has arisen surrounding its depiction of Kathy Scruggs' character, despite this, the characterization of Jewell is spot on, and the events as they happened are mostly laid bare for audiences to make up their own minds about the players involved. Paul Walter Hauser, in particular, is impeccable in his speech and cadence, nailing his depiction of Richard Jewell. Likewise, Kathy Bates and Sam Rockwell give off emotional and exemplary performances, though nothing too far outside of the performances you'd expect from them. They are solid to be sure, but I didn't feel either performance outshined anything they have delivered in the past. Not that either actor needs to. The film is an emotional ride of human apathy, ignorance, and desperation, as you watch an innocent man's name skewered to appease those who want a name to put to the heinous act that occurred. If nothing else, the film solidly serves as a cautionary tale for assumption and the power that the press and government have, and how cautious both entities should be wielding that power when it comes to not just American rights, but a person's basic human rights. The film isn't Eastwood's best or most compelling. It doesn't hit as hard or as emotionally as Million Dollar Baby, Gran Torino, or American Sniper. It does, however, make its point and helps share the truth about a hero whose life was turned upside down, while being a solid work of film. For those who want to know the story of Richard Jewell or are fans of Clint Eastwood's filming, it still delivers. I give Richard Jewell 3 out of 4 stars.
Absolutely well deserved.
Yep.
3 out of 4 stars.
I was
for
kind of
Richard
in between 3 and 3.5.
I'm 3.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I like it.
I actually
just,
am right on. I'm right there with 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like it. It's a great movie. I just didn't feel like it was quite as good as like some of his others, like Gran Torino or American Sniper.
Right.
But I mean, I still think it was an incredible movie that needed like it told the even though it's getting all this crap from the media. If you actually dig and do the research yourself, which I did, I told Brandon before I wrote the review. When I was trying to find out info on this, only thing that popped up on Google was stuff from 2019 because of all the stuff this year.
Yeah.
I had to dig. I was like 10 pages into Google before I could find articles from before, from when it happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, I dug and I found like what really happened and stuff so I could know if it was true or not. But for the most part, this movie
very
is
accurate.
very accurate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and actually, that was one of the conversations Keith and I had right after he recorded the review. Was I was talking to him. I was like, it's interesting that the big controversy since this movie's released was the whole defaming the I'm forgetting her name.
Yeah.
The
Kathy Scruggs.
journalist
Scruggs,
Kathy
yeah,
Scruggs'
yeah. Kathy
character,
Scruggs.
and the fact that it painted her in a bad light. For one, I don't think you walk away with this movie at all. And actually, there's parts where it almost tries to redeem the fact that she felt bad for what
Yeah.
she did. And
Yeah.
honestly, the part where she tries to sleep with the FBI agent to get information, it's not. It's definitely in there. There's
Yeah.
no way of hiding it, but it's not a main part of the film. It's
Not
definitely-
as much as the media's been making it out to
Yeah.
be.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what's been, honestly, that was a point of contention. And I kind of
Yeah.
knew even going in that it wasn't going to be.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we were talking about after the review about how, with all this controversy, it's actually interesting because there's been a lot of movies based on true events in the last 20 years. And it's really been within the last 5 that I think now Hollywood, because of the internet, because things get scrutinized and looked over with a fine-tooth comb, you have these filmmakers who are going out of their way to make sure that they are painting a faithful picture as to what actually happened in the real events. Because if they don't, they're going to get called out on it, and it's very easy to look up the information and find out where they're wrong.
Well,
so to me, it's like because you can even find that information and it's so readily available, it's easy to find out where they embellished and what they did for Hollywood's sake, and making it more impactful. But also, it to me shows that these filmmakers now are paying very much more close attention.
Well, they have
to
to,
what they have to, because it's like anybody can find this
Like, I
info.
remember-
but it just gives me. I give praise to Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood and anybody else who's made these true event stories recently, because you
Yeah,
have
in the
to
'90s,
now.
you had all kind of based on true story films that were mostly
Embellished a
that
lot.
were they mostly weren't even
They
that
took
true.
a lot of liberties.
Yeah. Nowadays you don't, which I love. And what I found craziest about this movie, what's going on with this movie, with the media and everything, as far as their anger towards the Kathy Scruggs, is digging into the info. What is funny is that what they're really angry about is they're trying to cover up the fact that they turned on her back when it happened. If you look, the media was the one that after it broke out that he wasn't guilty, they turned on Kathy Scruggs and said, well, it's her fault. She broke the news and she was doing this. And now they're trying to defend her because they don't want to look bad for what they did to her back then.
Yeah.
So
Right. now they're, of course, now
Now they're like,
jumping
oh,
to,
she's
one of our own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
like,
really,
yeah, but
they were willing to throw her under the bus when they were like, well, crap, now we got the target on our back. And she was the one that made the boneheaded call.
Because most of the like articles and stuff that Clint Eastwood based this film on revolving around her were written by Variety, Vanity Fair, all these articles talking about what she did was wrong. And it's like, well, if that's what history says are the facts, and now you're all trying to defend her, it's like you all were the ones that pushed those facts.
That narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you see this all the time. Like one of the things that after I saw the film, like on the ride home, I was watching. Well, I wasn't watching it, but I was listening to like the 60 Minutes interview from 2002. And part of the 60 Minutes was about all of the different people that the FBI has really blamed for things, and then they were not, they were innocent. And I mean, they got the Boston bomber wrong at first.
Yeah.
What was the other one? The Unabomber one. Where was that at?
Ted Kaczynski.
Kaczynski. Yeah, but where was it? Where'd that happen?
No. They were talking about Oklahoma.
Oklahoma City.
That wasn't the Unabomber.
That wasn't the Unabomber.
But Oklahoma City bombing.
Oklahoma City, they
attack.
had the wrong guy for weeks, and it's just like you're ruining someone's life by jumping to conclusions, even if some of the evidence may lean that way. It's like you've got to explore all these different avenues before you.
Well, you're supposed
you do that.
Treat people innocent until proven guilty. And
right.
they treated Richard Jewell like he was guilty.
Don't even get me on that. But that's exactly. I mean, that's what's going on in our world today. But I mean, even look at like close to home here, the poor kid from Northern Kentucky.
Yeah.
That was the topic of conversation in every media outlet. They've like defamed him, and then the real videos came out. The 2-hour-long videos that show that this kid really didn't instigate this stuff in D.C., that someone else instigated it, and it never really cleared the kid's name. And I mean, he's suing like CNN and Washington Post, like he's suing all of them, and they're all fighting it. And Richard Jewell ended up suing and winning.
They settled.
Settlements.
They all
they
settled
got settlements
except for the AJC.
Except for the Atlantic.
Which, and here's the thing,
Journal Constitution.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they brought up the fact that it was like, well, but at the time we were reporting on what we thought were the facts.
Yeah.
We were reporting what the facts were at the time.
Like maybe do a little research before you report it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and not only that, but it was like the stories that came after that are what they're not talking about.
Yes.
And in that very interview, it was his lawyer that spoke up and said, yeah, you're right. You can report on what you think the facts are as you're finding them out. But it's not okay for you to get in there and defame the very person who is the
well, they called
who
him
you
like a
believe, the
wannabe
suspect.
cop and
Yeah.
wannabe law enforcement, and they use
It's
terms
one thing
like
to
that
say he's a
yeah.
suspect. It's another thing to say he's a suspect because he fits this lone gunman profile and he's a wannabe cop.
He lives
and
with his
he's
mom.
never had a good track record and he's this horrible person. And it's
Yeah.
like you basically bashed him rather than just simply say he's a suspect.
Yeah.
But all in all, I thought for the most part, look, you can gloss over all of the controversies surrounding this film. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's a box office bomb." Look, the fact is it opened up. It's probably not going to get any traction this week with Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
It was a terrible time
But,
to release,
Yeah,
honestly.
well,
It
when
really
we went
was.
to see it, it was only showing it 3 times
Exactly.
in one
The
theater.
showtimes
Yeah,
weren't
the
even there.
showtimes, yeah.
But not only that, but I think what other movie came out last
Jumanji.
week? Jumanji came
that's
out.
a massive movie.
You're talking about 2 huge blockbusters back to back. Because you had Jumanji last week, Rise of Skywalker this week. It's probably not going to get any more traction. I do see it as a movie.
because it is a good movie. It's a really
it is.
good movie.
It's a great movie.
I love Sam Rockwell anyways. I enjoy everything he's in, but he gave a good performance. Kathy Bates gave her when she's in front of the cameras talking about her son, there were moments there where I was like, man,
Well,
Yeah.
there were moments in this that were just humane.
Yeah.
Very
But I mean,
humane
all in all,
moments.
though, as far as performances go, Walter,
yes.
like that guy,
Yes.
nailed
Walter
that character.
Paul Hauser, yes.
He nailed that character.
Yeah.
Especially if you go back and watch some of the interviews with the real guy, it is insane how good
Well,
he did.
and I honestly thought when the movie first started and seeing his character and how it was kind of getting in, you were just getting used to everything.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit I thought it was overdone.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like they're making him a bumbling idiot. He seems a little bit too juvenile. Just very. He kind of seems slow.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Forrest
maybe
Gump
this is
kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
But in a way, but very overdone.
Yeah.
And then as the movie kind of continues, and there's one scene in particular very early on. It was a very crucial scene and brilliant on Clint Eastwood's part. And the same effect is done in another movie recently. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
When you have Margot Robbie's character go to see herself, she plays Sharon Tate in the film.
And they
but
use
when
the real footage of Sharon Tate.
Yeah,
Yes.
they use the real
Yeah.
footage of Sharon Tate. So I thought it was interesting that in this they have an interview on 60 Minutes, or not on 60
No, he's on the
Minutes.
news.
He's on the news,
Yeah.
and they have a real footage of the
real Richard
actual
Jewell.
The real Richard Jewell.
Jewell being interviewed, and you see him and how he sounds, and you immediately at that point connect the two, and you're like, this is Richard Jewell who
Yeah.
I'm watching.
Yeah.
This is
It's
exactly
crazy
what he
how
would
much
sound like and
Walter
look
Paul
like. Yeah.
Hauser like just sounded and looked and the way he moved. It's like if you watch interviews of Richard Jewell and then watch this movie with Walter Paul Hauser's
Very well
performance,
done.
you're like, man, he nails it.
Awesome. Fantastic movie. Definitely, if you're tired of the big blockbusters that are out right now, or if you've already seen them and you're looking for something else, go check out Richard Jewell. 3 out of 4 stars from the Red Moon Podcast.
Absolutely.
I think we're ready to move on to our headlines this week. Are
Let's
you
do
all
it.
ready?
I agree.
Let's do it.
Well, it's funny because we're going to see Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, we are.
But we still have this lingering, cloud over our heads that is Last Jedi. We can't really escape it.
I told Sean,
No,
I told Sean
okay.
before we started recording that I don't think I've ever felt this nervous about a movie before, and it might just because I am such a huge nerd and love Star Wars. But it's like
This
after
is it. This
knowing
is the
it's like
definitive end.
this is supposed to be the wrap up chapter, the closing chapter, and it's like, man,
Of the
Not-
Skywalker
9
saga.
movies.
yes,
Yeah,
there'll still be Star Wars after this,
Right.
but this is it for the Skywalker saga.
So it's
something
interesting.
we've grown up with. It's something our parents have grown up with. Like, that's crazy to think that this is a saga
It's really
that,
truly spanned 2 generations.
Well, 3
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
yeah.
True.
40 years.
3,
you know?
3,
Yeah.
but yeah. Well, this is now the 3rd generation.
Yeah.
And yet it's sad that this trilogy in and of itself has been so lackluster. And
Well, it started.
received-
Force Awakens was a good, solid start. Like it
True.
started off great with JJ.
A New Hope Part 2.
Yeah,
people joked
it
about.
relived a lot of the
It
storyline.
did, but it still kind of gave you like it's like it could have been had a little bit more new to it, but at
It
least
still got you excited about
Yeah,
Star Wars
yeah.
again, though. And then
It was a perfect introduction.
And then Ryan Johnson came along and said, "You know what?
What
We're
the
going to
hell?"
ignore 7 movies worth of story
Yeah.
and upend everything just because
Well,
I
okay,
want to."
And this is the funny thing is I love that we still in this atmosphere, because we review a lot of movies.
Yeah.
People and I like to think of ourselves as well, give ourselves a pat on the back and say we are legitimate critics of films.
Yeah.
And we review films
not just Star
from
Wars
a fan's
and
perspective, but
everything.
also from a critical perspective.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of times where we agree with the critics. We could not be more against the critics who loved Last
Critics
Jedi.
loved it. Yes.
And we are falling in line with the fans who absolutely wanted to see that piece of
No,
trash
no.
burn.
You can't say that because according to the media, fans loved Last Jedi. There's just a small vocal minority that keep trashing it.
I don't think so.
I don't- no.
No.
You can look at Rotten Tomatoes.
A Rotten Tomato score of 40%
Yeah.
does not say that there's a huge divide
Yes.
Yeah.
between critics and fans
Yes.
and normal average audience goers with The Last Jedi.
Yep.
So with that being said, Ryan Johnson is still out there acolyting and pushing the narrative that his bold changes to the saga
Yeah. Well, he
were
has
warranted.
to. He has to because Disney's forgotten that movie.
well,
I mean, they've all but abandoned that
They had to
movie.
move on.
Yeah. So
And
I'm
so
just like, he's
there's
got to
his
remain relevant.
He's got to beat his
trilogy
drum.
because he was supposed to make a new trilogy.
Yeah.
It's kind of dead in the water.
not
Nobody's
doing
mentioned it. Nobody's mentioned it at all
Yeah.
since
So,
The Last Jedi happened.
And that's the question is here is on a radio show or a podcast recently, he was sitting there defending his choices, saying
Mm-hmm.
that it was bold to go in the different direction than fans expected. So my question to you all is that because in his mind and in his world, the creative process, you need to divorce yourself from the fans' expectations and then what your creative juices get flowing and what you come up with. So is fan service okay, or should we just totally get rid of what the fans expect and just go our own way?
I think pure fan service can kind of be bad because then you're not making anything innovative at all. I think Force Awakens could have been better if it hadn't stuck so much to fan service. Like Force Awakens was a lot of fan service, and it's like JJ could have taken
For me, though, like, to me, I would have rather seen Han Solo live. But it's like the fact that they take him out in the first movie, which I know is what that's what Harrison Ford wanted.
It's what he's
was
always wanted.
He's always wanted to die as Han Solo. But still, it's like I wanted to see that character remain in the series, and to have him taken out in the first rehash of Star Wars, that hurt me, but it made it a good film.
It did, yes.
And so that's something that I wanted that I didn't get, and I'm
And
happy that I didn't
that was
get
okay,
it.
yeah. But in that regard, when you already have a major death like that in Force Awakens, you don't take Last Jedi and be like, well, now we're going to get rid of everything else that ever existed before.
But it's
these
funny
movies.
because then you would have had another major death that I would have been okay with, and it was actually appropriate.
Yeah.
In the sense that by the time the film came out, Carrie Fisher had
Leia.
already passed. And
No,
they had a chance to do it right.
Then we wouldn't have gotten
justice.
her Mary Poppinsing back into the ship. So.
Exactly. But then again, that was the thing. It was like he literally, and I loved watching, there was a review on YouTube that I watched recently that rehashed Last Jedi. And he came up with how every single time you thought something was going to happen, the opposite would. But the problem is the more and more that kept going with the film's, pace, you kept expecting the unexpected.
Yeah.
So then by the time you were like, man, this would be really cool if this, it didn't happen. I mean, you were completely
not even close.
And it's like, but in a bad way,
Yeah.
it subverted your expectations.
It's like you can't ignore the fans entirely because that's who you're making the movie for. It's
Yes.
It's
with
not even.
Yeah.
You're not. It's not even just annoying or ignoring the. It is annoying, but ignoring the fans. It's ignoring the entire story.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't care about the fans. Stick to Star Wars, and it will be a good movie.
Yeah.
But
You changed the entire
It's like you
formula.
said before we started. Before we went live. You were like, every thread that JJ set up, or that even the rest of the saga set up, he cut. And it's like, where do you go from here?
He ended it in Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And everybody's saying this is bold. I'm like, no, he's selfish.
It's suicide.
He made it his own movie in a saga that had spanned up to that point 7 films.
Yeah.
And he decided to make it about his
knowing someone
and
else
his
had to come after
expectations.
him and wrap it up, and it's like, how do you do that? I mean, we talked. They reported that Colin Trevorrow, who was originally supposed to do the last movie, saw the script for Last Jedi and requested that Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy make changes, and not minor changes, major changes, because he said after reading the script, he's like, I can't go anywhere from here.
I can't follow that.
So he said he requested they make some major changes, and what did he get? He got fired for it. So
Well, and that was the crazy thing about that was I remember back in the day we praised the fact that they fired Colin Trevorrow because we were
'Cause we
like,
thought
no,
he
this
was
isn't a good
terrible.
fit. But turns out that he was actually a fan.
He was better than Rian
himself,
Johnson.
and he wanted to see it done justice.
Yeah.
I want the Colin Trevorrow cut of Last
Trevorrow
Jedi.
Hashtag Trevorrow.
Forget
cut.
the Snyder
We
cut.
need to
I want
start
the
that.
Trevorrow cut of Last Jedi.
We definitely need that over the freaking Snyder cut of Justice League.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I agree.
But it's crazy to me that Rian Johnson's still on this kick, beating this drum. The fact is, look, man, you got Hollywood on your side. So be it. You made this PC ultra liberal.
Yeah, it's SJW
leftist.
fanfare.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
exactly what it is.
And that's what I'm saying. They want to talk about a vocal minority. I'm like, no, you have a vocal minority in terms of who love it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry that all
I
of
feel
these
like
outlets,
they didn't even do the SJW thing that well. It's like, oh,
No.
we freed the space horses, but we left all the children enslaved.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
No,
well,
in their mind, that's okay. That's okay. But that's what pisses me off about this film is it got love from a crowd that ultimately said we're going to take Star Wars and bring it to the next level. What is that for us? Well, we're going to make it fit into our political realm and have it be a political talking piece. And to me, again, going back to your point, Sean, you just ripped everything that was Star Wars about The Last Jedi out of it. Make another sci-fi epic in space with the same topics, different characters, and see if you have a huge praise.
Yeah.
No, you won't. People will pan
Or do it with the next trilogy that has nothing to do
Yeah.
with
This is
the
the s-
previous saga.
I say this is the
But-
Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
It's like you can't say it's a Skywalker saga and then get
Exactly.
rid of everything that had to do with Skywalker.
Yeah, when Yoda's bringing lightning down from the sky, when we've never seen that before in any other freaking Star Wars film.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden there's force powers coming out of nowhere. It's just ridiculous.
Well, even the small things like I would think that surely after The Force Awakens, I hope you agree with me. You thought Finn and Rey were going to have a thing.
They
Did you
kind
think
of,
that they gave you that sense that
or they
there
were
could
related.
have
well,
been.
everybody was
but
pushing
then-
for the Poe Finn.
Yeah,
thing.
I know. But then in his movie, it's like no, they're not gonna even. I mean, Finn was like looking for her.
Yeah.
Like when he wakes up, it's like, where's Rey? You know, like he had these and then they throw the little Asian girl. What's her name?
Rose.
They throw her in there.
Asian girl.
They throw her in there and try to make that the love interest.
Her
of,
character arc didn't make sense either, though.
No, it didn't.
It's like she stops him from sacrificing himself to help win the war
Yeah,
because she's
then
like, that's
she-
not how you win. You
They've
win
known
with
each
love.
other for 8 hours,
But at the
and then
very-
she kisses him.
See, at the very beginning
like,
of the
what the
movie,
freak?
she's like, I want to be a part of the resistance. I want to fight because my sister fought. She sacrificed her life. But then at the end, she's like, no, you don't fight that way. And it's like, that makes no sense.
That's what I'm saying. You basically are
you
just
fight
saying
with love.
your
You win
sister,
with love.
fought the wrong way. She killed herself for nothing.
Mhm.
It's like you literally just allowed more people to possibly die because you stopped him from sacrificing himself. Not only that, but like you say, she kisses him, and you can tell in his face he's like, I don't want this. I'm sorry, but you can just tell.
Yeah.
He's like,
and then at the end, he's like sitting by her in the hospital, like holding her hand, and it's he's there. He's like, well, I have to. She kissed me. He's like, I have to sit by her now. I can't go sit by Ray, which is where I want to be.
I gotta make up.
It's like I gotta, I'm just like, you can see it on in his demeanor. It's just like he doesn't want to be there holding her hand. He feels obligated.
Yeah,
I'm just like, this is stupid.
That, along with every other aspect of destroying the
and
Jedi
bombs,
text,
they don't drop. There's no gravity in space.
Well, that's why I thought it was funny. Even then, they open up the.
It's like right at the beginning.
They open up, and she's sitting there breathing, and I'm like, I don't care how high up. It doesn't take but 2-3 miles, and you're out of air.
Yeah.
And you're up there in the atmosphere that high up, and you think you can just breathe by. It didn't make any sense.
Yep.
Even for Star Wars, I'm like, hell, you have like.
Well, now, I mean, to be fair, there's always the loading docks in the where they dock the ships. It's always just a big wide open thing.
But I think they have.
But they also have the shield,
shields,
and even when the shield's up, it's not like they don't have a barrier there. That
oh
protects
I
them.
see what you're saying.
All I'm saying that
I mean,
that
they
can
did
be
have
explained.
in Empire in the meteor. There was that giant worm that was living in space, but it's like, well, that's some type of space creature we don't know about. Maybe it can live in space.
Yeah,
it's different. That's different from a human
different.
being.
But we also have 5 scenes later, Leia's being sucked out of the cabin and she's frozen to death.
Yeah.
And then she flies back because she has the Force magically. But it's like, well, she couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
How could this person breathe after opening it? There's plot holes abound. Plot holes abound.
Yeah.
Look,
the only person with the Force that's ever been able to bring the dead back to life is Darth Plagueis.
Yeah.
And not Leia. So how'd she bring herself back to life?
Die. Okay.
She did die.
Used the Force.
Her
to
eyeballs
survive.
were froze over. She was dead.
Brought herself through.
Here's the thing. I didn't mean to make this bash Last Jedi again. I honestly now I'm getting more psyched about Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
I'm
telling you,
we're T-minus.
They can't be anything worse than the Last Jedi.
We're getting close.
We got like about an hour almost until we get there.
Until we finally see it. But the fact is look, I don't want to say anything about what I've read about Rise of Skywalker. I'm not going to try to impart what I've already heard for fear of people. Sean's going to kill
murdering
me.
you.
Sean's going to throw his coffee mug at your face.
Yes. Trust me, I won't say anything. All I'm saying is if Rise of Skywalker pays fan service and gives me back what I want to see how this saga ends.
I just want a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah.
This doesn't need to be the best Star Wars movie. I don't think it can be at this point. But if it at least give me something satisfying, I'll be happy.
Okay. And if it's not, I don't blame JJ. I don't blame JJ, depending on how bad it is.
It's true.
Depending on how bad it is. But I will not blame JJ Abrams or Jar Jar Abrams.
I blame Kathleen Kennedy like 100%.
Absolutely. There's no doubt the blame.
They should have had a plan going in, and you could tell she didn't.
No.
She even stated, she said, well, it's not like Marvel where we have all these comics and hundreds of, she said, or thousands of pages of material to go off of. It's like,
have you read any of the books?
I was like, there's tons of books that could have given you better ideas than what you came up with. So,
or hell, the creator
there's
of
video
the universe.
games that could have gave her better ideas.
Yes.
Yeah, George Lucas. Yeah, you could have asked George Lucas.
He had
sounds like
ideas.
they went that route, but then didn't listen to him.
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly the problem with Kathleen Kennedy.
It's kind of,
which is she's no longer in charge.
Well, she's still the head of Lucasfilm.
She's not. No, trust me. She's not.
She's not.
She's not. Somebody else is pulling the strings.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think we're ready to move on to our story time segment.
Yeah. Let's go.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
Story time. It's just so easy.
Story. Who wants the story?
What's the story time?
Yeah,
segment?
what are we telling stories about?
It's we're still in December.
Papa,
It's still
tell
Christmas
me a story.
time. So I wanted to stick with the holiday theme. So I figured, why not talk about your favorite last day of school before Christmas break?
Oh yeah.
Your favorite last day of School Before Christmas. Everybody remembers holidays are approaching, Christmas is near, and you're getting close to those 2 weeks off where you can enjoy time with your family, friends, and just staying inside because it's freaking cold and playing tons of video games.
I don't really remember very many last days of School Before Christmas.
Well, that's fine. You may not remember many, but do you remember one?
No, all the school days just kind of merged together. Like once, like it was like that day. It's like, okay, Christmas is coming. I'm out. Like I clocked out. And I think the only one I remember is watching Christmas Vacation in middle school because our English teacher, when it gets to this pool scene, I don't know how she could have never seen this movie in her life. But she never seen Christmas Vacation, I guess, because when it got to that scene, she really thought it was about to show that woman naked and she freaked out and ran to the TV. She's like, no, and all the kids were like, no, it's okay. It doesn't show anything.
Yeah. She ain't going to trust those kids. Because if there's about to be a nip slip, we want to see it.
Oh, no, she played the rest of the movie, but she made sure, like, she checked it first. Like, but it was just funny because it was like
see, now that's memorable.
It's like, how do you not remember? Have you never seen Christmas Vacation?
True.
How?
That's a tragedy right there. She should have seen.
And she was probably in her 60s. She was an older lady, and I'm like,
yeah, that doesn't.
How have you been your entire life, woman?
Sean, what about you?
I remember 1994.
Wow, the year.
The year, because that was the year that we went on a fourth or fifth grade field trip to Chicago. It was like the big thing. It was like you paid money, you waited all year. So we went to Chicago, and the winter storm of '94 happened while we were there.
Oh, dang.
So we got snowed in to Chicago, and when the roads were clear, we ended up being like a day and a half late to get home.
Getting back
but
from the trip?
it was literally like the week. I think it was like the week before Christmas when we got back. So over Christmas break, we had 2.5 feet of snow on the ground, and it didn't go anywhere. So we were like shoveling, basically like shoveling trenches in the sidewalk just to get in and out of the house. And I mean, there was, snow up on the front door, like keeping the front or the back door from keeping it from opening on the deck and everything. Like it was a lot of snow. And that was the year for Christmas I finally got the Hammer RC monster truck.
Oh,
and
yes.
My dad, me and him took it out. We were like, oh yeah, this is going
in the snow. You have to.
Yeah.
And we took it out in the snow, and for about 30 minutes it was fun, but then the motor froze and it was ruined forever.
Oh no, it locked up?
It died, yeah.
Oh,
no. And my dad might have to correct me on this, but I am pretty sure that we put that back in the box and that he returned it to Toys R Us and got money back for it. And because we bought it at Toys R Us.
I would take it back. It didn't last 30 minutes.
Back in Toys R Us had all the toys in a glass case.
Yeah.
And so we took it
back.
But
here's my question:
was
it meant to be out in that kind of weather, or not really?
I mean, I'm not gonna say it was waterproof, but I mean, in the commercials they showed them driving it through puddles and mud, and
of course in the
small
dirt print at the bottom, it's like does not actually happen.
But I mean, it stayed on top of the snow, because the snow was packed pretty good. But I do remember getting that for Christmas. And that was the year, and that was when we got snowed in just before Christmas break, because it was like we were thinking, oh man, this is gonna be awesome if we're stuck in Chicago for Christmas.
That would be kind of cool.
But it was right.
Yeah,
before.
and that's the thing. You're sitting there as a kid like this would be awesome.
Oh, my parents were
like
freaking out. Yeah, I know they were. So yeah, they the school parking lot was not cleared, so there was 2.5 feet of snow there, and the bus couldn't park there, so everybody had to be picked up in Kroger's parking lot up here in Valley Station before Kroger moved. Like it was over where the Walmart is now, and so we got picked up in that parking lot, and it was like hugs, and then it was just like, I mean, it was like a day or two later was Christmas break, so it was pretty cool right before Christmas break.
That would have been
absolutely
that's a good
that's
one.
the best way to start it.
What about you, Brandon?
Little adventure.
What you got?
Mine was sophomore year of high school. And I remember it because for one, my dad had just had hip surgery and was getting back home. He was in the hospital, and I'd visited him like a couple times throughout the last week to just make, obviously go up there and see my dad and check on him. But he was not home, so it was kind of odd not having my dad home, every night.
Yeah.
And so it was nice that I knew he was coming home. We had just finished our project for biology, which happened to be a short film that we did on genetics called Genetics Hospital. And one day, when we have a website, you'll be able to see this project. But I had
many of our other
other adventures.
previous.
But the thing was, the reason why I remember it is I was super nervous about it, but genetics was like our biggest. It was the whole semester. That whole grading period was all over genetics, and it was huge. We had a huge 100-question test that we had to, like, it was the hardest one of the year, and Ms. Johnson just laughed at us the whole year, like, leading up to it, like, none of you are going to pass. It's going to be terrible. And she did it. She did
terrible
it.
teacher.
No, she did it. She did
I
it.
know,
It
she was joking, yeah.
But it was funny because it was like so everybody was freaking out about it. I didn't fare too well on the test. I got like a 70-something. I wasn't, but I honestly was happy because I was like, that's 70 questions out of 100.
Yeah.
I was thrilled, honestly. So I was like, I don't care. That was fair. And honestly, that was like the average. And it was funny because Tristan, side note, real quick,
He's watching.
He's watching?
He's watching.
He studied so hard for this test. And he got one question off on the Scantron. And when he went to bubble it in, he was answering the wrong one on that line. So he was one off the whole test. He got like a 13 on that test.
God.
He failed it.
Did they let him like redo? Because I mean, that's
no. And he pleaded with her. But this is the beauty of it. So the last part of the grading period after the test was we all had to present a project, go up there and explain what our thing was, which was about genetics. I forget what it was about specifically. But then we had this video. Played the video. Me, Tristan, Rachel Knight, and Emily Jeffries all were in it together, made this video. Super proud of it. Ms. Johnson watched it, was completely amazed by it, loved every second of it, and praised us continually as soon as she watched it. Couldn't believe we pulled it off. And then the beauty of it was she not only gave us 100% on that part of the project, she gave us 100 on all of our tests.
Dang.
And so going into Christmas, and it was 6 periods, so it's the last period of the day. Going into Christmas break, had 100%. She's raving about
so what you're saying is, if Tristan
stressed.
hadn't have been friends with you and your amazing
filming
skills
as a filmmaker,
yes,
he would have flunked.
He would have flunked.
No, it was a team effort, but
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
yeah.
it was amazing. Just like I was even felt not pressure, but I just wanted it to come out, good. And it was like it was right
years
after
later, and I already feel bad for him. For it's like because you just missed one bubble.
You don't.
Yeah, that
it
sucks.
sucks.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those moments too. It was like we'd just done Cheating Makes You Gain, which was kind of my first decent film. So to have this one piggyback off that one, and to just have that credibility that, hey, you're on the right path, you're actually doing something that you have talent in.
Yeah.
And then to make 100%
Yeah.
for me, but for the whole team,
Yeah.
it was just awesome. A fantastic way to go home. My dad was home. Start Christmas break. It was a great,
So what you're really saying
great
is
last day before
you
Christmas.
peaked in
break.
high school. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Ouch. Ouch.
Wow.
Don't
Just
worry, you'll make something good again one day.
Well, George Lucas thought the
Hashtag.
same thing after, Return of the Jedi. And that's when he peaked. So
Yeah.
maybe my best days are behind me.
And then he
Alrighty, guys. I think that's gonna do it this week.
We
Yeah.
got a
We
movie
gotta
we
go.
gotta go.
We gotta get to the
I
Rise
was
of
getting
Skywalker.
ready to put my headphones down and walk out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
he's on his way. So you know what? RM Podcast at redmoonproductions.com.
Where?
RM Podcast at redmoonproductions.com.
That sounds good. Let's go.
That's great. Okay. Thanks for joining us this week. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Keith Cheatham.
let's get the hell out of here and
That's
go
right.
see Rise of
Star
Skywalker.
Wars!
Woo!
Yahoo!